Okay, let's talk about FeatureCam and creating bosses in FeatureCam. Now, you should have watched the pocket video. Again, a pocket is a removed area of the part to a specific depth within the boundary. A boss is the opposite of a pocket. A boss is a raised area of the part with everything removed around it. So again, let's start by drawing what our boss is going to be. And again, you just want to draw according to the print what your boss is going to look like. So here, let's say this is a boss. And again, just like a pocket, we go into curves and we curve that boundary. And we'll call this boss 1. Create. And now we have our boundary. So we can come into features and choose boss from curve. Notice pocket had from dimensions options, boss does not. This is the only way you're able to create a boss is from a curve. So choose boss, hit next, go out and choose your curve that you want to use for your boss. Mine's boss 1, it's in there. Next, Z location, just like if you were changing the Z location for your pocket based on maybe your depth, or if you faced this block first, you want to change your offset for your Z location for your boss. It's the top of the boss. So again, if we faced off a 1/2 inch material and then we put our boss in, we want to make sure we put our new Z offset as that -0.5 to give it that new top of the part. But we're not doing any facing, so we're going to leave that at Z0. Hit next. A lot of these things are going to look a lot like a pocket. Draft angle, chamfer, height rather than depth, and then bottom radius. Again, a draft angle is going to give you an angled side. If you're making molds, specifically like thermoforming molds, you want to make sure you use a draft angle. Chamfer is a chamfer at the top. The height is the height of the boss, and a bottom radius if you want to put a bottom radius in. Hit preview, and it'll show you that boss. And again, it looks a lot like a pocket at this point in time, but we are doing a boss. Okay, again, we're going to leave a lot of this stuff at default. Rough pass, finish pass, climb mill, depth first. Hit next, and it's going to throw in the cutters that it's going to use based on your tool manager, your tool crib that you have set up. So it's going to go through all the tools that you're using, all the feeds and speeds that you have. And once you're done with that, you can hit finish. Hit OK. Now, again, it goes through just like a pocket, except the only way that you can see is that you have boss 1 as a feature rather than pocket 1. Just to show you what a boss is, let's go ahead and run the simulation. And when I run the simulation, it's going to remove all the material from the outside of that boundary. Like I said, it's essentially the opposite of a pocket. Again, we need to make sure we go through and we set our Z increment for our rough pass, just like we would on a pocket. We double click on rough pass 1. You'll see rough pass Z increment. Rule of thumb, 1/3 the diameter of the cutter. We're using a 1/2 inch cutter, so our value is going to be 0.15. We set, apply, OK. Rerun the simulation. You can see it's doing steps. Again, the reason why you do a Z increment is just to decrease the load on the tool. It prevents the tool from snapping. It also prevents the tool from wearing too fast. And that is a boss. There's not much to it. You have you can change your curves. There is nothing. You don't have an island or anything like that you would have for pockets. It is essentially you have a curve and you remove all the material from the outside of that curve. It's something that you want to keep in mind, though, that if you watch this cutter, it is going beyond the outside of the part. If you have your part in a vise, you want to make sure that the part is raised up above the top of the vise jaws so that you have clearance for your cutter. Otherwise, your cutter is going to go right into the vise. The vise jaw is very hard tool steel. You're most likely going to snap the tool bit. Again, let's walk through that one more time. You start out by drawing your boundary, curve your boundary. Once you have your curve, come over to Features. Under the From Curve selection, choose Boss. Next, make sure you choose the correct curve. Next, here's your Z offset if you want it to be lower because you're removing material from the top, or you have a step on your part. You want to make sure you set the right Z location. Here's all the dimensions for your part. Draft angle. Let's throw in a draft. Well, it probably won't do it since I don't have the right tools in there. So we'll leave that draft angle at 0. Chamfer, height of the boss, and bottom radius. Next, here's your strategies and your feature operations. You can hit finish. Okay. And it will make that boss for you. Now, like I was saying, I was going to try to put a draft angle in here, but because I only have simple end mills, it's probably going to look like a stepped pattern. Yeah, that's what it does, since I just have regular end mills. So I want to go back in there and take off that draft angle, which will give me just those flat edges on that boss. Again, double click Rough Pass 1 to change any of the milling attributes. This is where you change your Z increment. 0.15. Dimensions, location, strategy, all of this stuff is very, very similar to the pocket. So if you are having trouble with pockets, make sure you view that video. But that is a boss. It's just, again, the material is removed on the outside of that boundary. It's a proud surface. Alright, thank you.